Give yourself a break. The power of self-compassion. When we experience a setback, we tend to either become defensive and blame others, or berate ourselves. Neither response is helpful. Research shows that we should respond instead with self-compassion. Be kind to ourselves rather than judgmental. Recognize that everyone makes mistakes, and avoid dwelling on the setback. Self-compassion helps us cultivate a growth mindset by encouraging the belief that improvement is possible and bolstering our desire to do better. It also helps us connect with a more authentic self. When people experience a setback at work, whether it's a bad sales quarter, being overlooked for a promotion, or an interpersonal conflict with a colleague, it's common to respond in one of two ways. Either we become defensive and blame others, or we berate ourselves. Unfortunately, neither response is especially helpful. Shirking responsibility by getting defensive may alleviate the sting of failure, but it comes at the expense of learning. Self-flagellation, on the other hand, may feel warranted in the moment, but it can lead to an inaccurately gloomy assessment of one's potential, which undermines personal development. What if instead we were to treat ourselves as we would a friend in a similar situation? More likely than not, we'd be kind, understanding, and encouraging. Directing that type of response internally, toward ourselves, is known as self-compassion, and it's been the focus of a good deal of research in recent years. Psychologists are discovering that self-compassion is a useful tool for enhancing performance in a variety of settings, from healthy aging to athletics. I and other researchers have begun focusing on how self-compassion also enhances professional growth. People with high levels of self-compassion demonstrate three behaviors. First, they are kind rather than judgmental about their own failures and mistakes. Second, they recognize that failures are a shared human experience. And third, they take a balanced approach to negative emotions when they stumble or fall short. They allow themselves to feel bad, but they don't let negative emotions take over. Kristen Neff, a professor at the University of Texas, Austin, has developed a survey tool that assesses the three components of self-compassion. Researchers and practitioners have used the tool to shed light on what personality traits and behaviors are associated with self-compassion and have found, among other things, that people who score high typically have greater motivation to improve themselves and are more likely to report strong feelings of authenticity, the sense of being true to the self. Both are important contributors to a successful career. The good news is that both of these traits can be cultivated and enhanced through self-compassion. A growth mindset. Most organizations and people want to improve, and self-compassion is crucial for that. We tend to associate personal growth with determination, persistence, and hard work, but the process often starts with reflection. One of the key requirements for self-improvement is having a realistic assessment of where we stand, of our strengths and our limitations. Convincing ourselves that we are better than we are leads to complacency, and thinking we're worse than we are leads to defeatism. When people treat themselves with compassion, they are better able to arrive at realistic self-appraisals, which is the foundation for improvement. They are also more motivated to work on their weaknesses rather than think, "What's the point?" and to summon the grit required to enhance skills and change bad habits. Self-compassion does more than help people recover from failure or setbacks. It also supports what Carol Dweck, a psychology professor at Stanford University, has called a growth mindset. People with a fixed mindset see personality traits and abilities, including their own, as set in stone. They believe that who we are today is essentially who we'll be 5 years from now. People who have a growth mindset, in contrast, view personality traits and abilities as malleable. They see the potential for growth and thus are more likely to try to improve, to put in effort and practice and to stay positive and optimistic. Being true to the self. Self-compassion has benefits for the workplace beyond boosting employees' drive to improve. Over time, it can help people gravitate to roles that better fit their personality and values. Living in accord with one's true self, what psychologists term authenticity, results in increased motivation and drive, along with a host of other mental health benefits. Unfortunately, authenticity remains elusive for many in the workplace. People may feel stuck in jobs where they have to suppress the true self because of incongruent workplace norms around behavior, doubts about what they have to contribute, or fears about being judged negatively by colleagues and superiors. But self-compassion can help people assess their professional and personal trajectories and make course corrections when and where necessary. A self-compassionate sales executive who misses a quarterly target, for example, not only will focus on how she can make her numbers next quarter but also will be more likely to take stock of whether she is in the right sort of job for her temperament and disposition. Self-compassion can help people gravitate to roles that better fit their personality. Treating oneself with kindness, understanding, and without judgment alleviates fears about social disapproval, paving the way for authenticity. Having a positive outlook on life makes people more willing to take chances, such as revealing their true selves. In fact, research shows that optimistic people are more likely to reveal negative things about themselves, such as distressing experiences they've endured or difficult medical challenges they face. In effect, optimism increases people's inclination to be authentic, despite the potential risks involved. The fact that self-compassion encourages a growth mindset is also relevant here. Research shows that when leaders adopt a growth mindset, that is, believe that change is possible, they're more likely to pay attention to changes in subordinates' performance and to give useful feedback on how to improve. Subordinates, in turn, can discern when their leaders have growth mindsets, which makes them more motivated and satisfied, not to mention more likely to adopt growth mindsets themselves. The old adage, lead by example, applies to self-compassion and the growth mindset it encourages. Fostering self-compassion. Fostering self-compassion is not complicated or difficult. It's a skill that can be learned and enhanced. Many of us are better at being a good friend to other people than to ourselves, so this can help avoid spirals of defensiveness or self-flagellation. If you're struggling to foster self-compassion in your professional and personal life, don't beat yourself up about it. With a little practice, you can do better.